All right. Good morning, guys. It is another Friday. And this is my first Friday back from taking a little bit of a break because last Friday I was getting ready to do one of my new favorite things, which is public speaking. Not sure where that came from in my personality, but I was getting ready to present at CreativeVerse. So today I thought it would be a great kind of day to just recap with y'all about why this aligns with what I've been talking about when it comes to mental health, when it comes to addiction recovery, wherever, and just, general mental health education. But what's even more exciting is I'm actually having not necessarily my first guest, but one of my first guests when I to have a conversation, and it's none other than the producer and director of CreativeVerse himself, which is Mr. Elton Benjamin. So I'm super excited to have him kind of come up here, and we wanted to share a little bit more about what CreativeVerse was. And for me, this was really last year when I first got involved in this. It was really getting outside of my comfort zone. So before I go into it, though, let me bring Elton up so we can kind of open things up for y'all. And without further ado, welcome, Mr. Elton Benjamin.
Good morning. Good morning. How
I
are
need to
you?
do better with the whole like AI sound of applause and everything because you, sir, have had a big task on your hands with this conference.
Well,
So where are you at? You're a week out of this. Have you fully recovered yet from that production?
the answer is no. No, so the stuff has been burnt in my brain so long. I was joking with my wife this morning on how my other clients, I've gone to put dates in their form, and all I come up with is May 17th and May 18th.
It's like
It's
your
like,
brain is still like back and like, yeah, it has to be May 17th next year.
right,
But no, that's
right.
this year still. Yeah. I can't go out more than like people are asking me like, hey, what are you doing next summer? And you want to? I was like, I'm like I can't even go further than a week right now.
There
Give me a
you go.
second.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I've recovered a little bit. There's still some things that we do after these conferences to make sure we're being effective. The follow up. We sent out a survey, and then it's a circle back round special appreciation for your volunteers and your sponsors, and just to show people all of what went on that weekend. So, yeah, I'll be recovered maybe after Memorial Day.
Right? Like after the holiday. The holiday is
Right.
supposed to like give us some time to rest and yeah, when you're an entrepreneur, it's you take your time to rest, but it looks a little bit different than the
Oh, it
traditional
looks way
schedule.
different. It looks strange.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad that I am in the mental health field because it holds me accountable to just trying to find and take advantage of any moment I have to kind of mentally rest because
Right.
sometimes even though I'm like I get my sleep, don't get me wrong, but sometimes in the middle of the day I'm booked up and I have to keep on going, but I also can't mentally just like let myself go either. So but yeah, I wanted to just quickly recap, like for people who are either newer followers for you or mine and don't know really what CreativeVerse, but just kind of the significance of how you and I connected. Because I think a lot of that is, what we talked about CreativeVerse this year is really about networking and connections and relationships. And so I really just would like to know, I guess I don't know if you want to go first or you want me to go first, but what was your perspective of how, not only just you wanted like what speakers you wanted to be involved with CreativeVerse, but how did you and I align? Like, why did you want to include mental health in
I'll go. I'll
CreativeVerse?
go first. I'll go first. I don't think I've told this story to a lot of people, but I think last year I tried to think and write out the things that really bothered me about this creative. Because the last 10 years we have a wave of content creators and YouTubers, influencers. We had a lot of people, you know, learning this and learning that and just jumping in front of a camera, and nobody ever talked about the mental aspect of it all, how it weighs down on you. because if you do this stuff and you're on the other side of the camera, you know how you have to prepare. You know all that comes with that. Just sitting on eggshells, hoping that it goes right. And after all of that, you have to be able to compose yourself and deal with the people on the other side, like your family and all those people, right? So I wanted to put something in that creative verse platform that spoke to the mental health of people, of creatives, of business owners. So I kept thinking and searching and searching and searching. I couldn't find anybody, and I was just like, man, you know what? Maybe this ain't the thing to put it in. So I think the day I said I was gonna give up on that platform, that subject, you inboxed me and you was like, "Hey, I'm looking for I may can help you and da 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 da." And I mean, it has just been a good, solid and real working relationship. And your classes that you've taught has been phenomenal. People still talking today about last week, so and they want to learn more. So that's kind of how I think I met you. Do we have the same story?
You, you give me a lot of credit in that version of the story,
All right.
because my version is not too far. But this is why I love perspective so much, is because clearly, as fun as this is, two different views of how our meeting. I remember it being. Um, I was going through a lot prior to this, and I had never met you, but we had connected on Facebook. And I think it's because I went to East Carolina. I think you're from Greenville, so we had a lot of mutual Greenville friends on Facebook. And I remember just scrolling through Facebook and seeing this random like status that was like, I need prayers. I'm going, like, big meeting, send prayers. And I just liked the status. And I believe what you told me was that was you putting that good vibe out there because you were about to meet with Chris Doe, who was the keynote, he's a big wig, like, in this creative design space, which I didn't know at the time. And then I don't know if it was the same day or maybe the next day, but it was soon after that we inboxed, either I inboxed you or you inboxed me and was like, hey, you do mental health stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of new to speaking, but I want to get out there. I just want to educate people about mental health and all that. But I think the really cool part, at least for my version of it, was that I was at a point where I had already transformed a lot of my life, but I had not really done it believing in like manifestation and just putting out like your desires for what you want as an individual. And I had just journaled, like, not even a week before that, about like, I want to do more public speaking. I got to get out there. And then CreativeVerse just kind of drops in my lap. And to me, that's really significant because, like, there's a lot of hard work that goes into taking care of yourself and recovery. But then at the same time, there's like, you don't have to work that hard. You just have to trust that everything's aligned at the same time and you get a result. So for me, it was a lot of confirmation, and just like universal power. It's really weird because I'm a scientist at heart and I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
He's a mind reader or something. I don't know,
no,
but
I think that was God that just put us together at the right time, when it sounds like you needed something and I obviously needed something that I was looking for. So
yeah,
I
no, that's why I'm very fascinated by like meet cutes. I don't know, like those, it's more of like a romantic comedy concept in film and everything. And for our professional meet cute is like one of my favorites. And I was like, we were really supposed to end up working together, in some regard. So year two, I guess, we can keep it going for year three. Um, but hint, hint, you know.
right.
But no, past that though, what I think, and partly why I also wanted to get involved in CreativeVerse, is your purpose of like, what is CreativeVerse for you, and not only just for your business, but why, what's your why?
My why is to build better relationships with the creative mind and the business owner mind. For a creative person to understand, like I said, the last couple of years we have a wave of people that wants to do something aesthetically, but the culture and the business acumen was missing. And so I kind of wanted to help each other speak to each other, right? I wanted to help the business owner understand, okay, this is how a creative thinks. They take all of your chaos and they push it through this blender and it comes out pretty, it comes out nice. I wanted to help the creative understand, okay, this is what the entrepreneur, the business person is expecting, no matter what, no matter feelings, no matter circumstances, no matter what you have to say, what goes wrong, this is what they're expecting at this time that you gave them. So those couple different things, and it's a lot of other things that's in that, but pretty much just to make sure that all bases are covered on each end, because I'm a creative at heart, but I do business and I have to do business, to sustain my lifestyle, my marriage, my family, and just you know everything that I would like to do and all my goals. But I just wanted to make sure that, and still, I'm like an advocate for entrepreneurs and for creatives, because if we don't have that for each other, and all of us are walking around lost and think that what we're doing is right and nobody's telling us wrong, we just end up in constant bad transactions, and things, when usually it could be held over a contract, which you put in your contract, or over more simple than that, just a conversation, of a disagreement and a misunderstanding. So my why is to help educate.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, education is a huge value of mine. Um, from my understanding, also too, a lot of this was a matter of representation for you. Like, I don't, I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself. Like, why part of why I do what I do in terms of using myself as a model for like a role model for mental health was because I didn't have a lot of representation of someone. And I know this is going to sound weird because I am a white female, but
Hmm.
I did not have a lot of large 6 feet tall, representation of people showing me not only how to take care of myself at any size,
Hmm.
but how to really build the lifestyle. I've been told, like, you have to lose weight your whole life. No one told me really how to do it. So does that share at all within why you are, like, you put CreativeVerse out there, is to see, put yourself out there for future generations?
Of course, I mean, you hit it right on the head. It's like when people say you need to invest, need to invest. Okay, invest in what? Invest in what? And
Real
with
estate?
that,
No, no.
right? And in that, like, people will say, okay, well, you need to be creative and do this and do that and do that. You need to speak to business owners and do this and do that. Okay, but if nobody knows how to speak business, then what? Right?
Right,
I can be a creative and I can tell somebody in business how beautiful something is going to look, and I've done the strategy and all that stuff. But they're going to know, okay, I did these numbers this year. How can you help me do these numbers next year or next quarter? Right?
right.
So unless you're speaking in terms that people understand that you're trying to identify with, if you can't speak in those terms, then they're just as lost as you are lost at them throwing, big numbers at you. So I think I just really to want to hone in and be on purpose and intentional about what key things that you need to do. Like you said, somebody told you to lose weight. Okay, how? How do I do that? You want to say, trying to push it down my throat. Okay, you need to do this. Well, if you don't show me a process or give me a solution or help me, then I can't get to the goal that you want me to get to.
Yeah,
Right. So my deal was just to make what CreativeVerse, I'm meticulously going through and say, okay, what's missing here, what's missing there on both ends, and let's try to meet at the middle. So even if you don't agree with me, we'll have an understanding of what each other expect.
absolutely. That how is crucial. And the how looks different for everyone, but at least
Right.
what I enjoyed about this year was because I partly wanted to get involved too, is because I had a lot to learn about being a creative entrepreneur. Like, I can be a therapist. I'm good at that. Like, but running my own business, putting myself out there on social media, figuring out how I wanted to put myself out there on social media. Then I have an assistant that is great and she makes all these great branding things, but I also have to understand how to use some of these tools as well myself, just in case, I need to fall back and do some of my own work. And, I am the creative leader of my team. So that's why I really enjoyed, like, the other sessions. Even though I was moderating this year, I got to learn while also being useful. And
Right.
that's big for me. It's like, I was a former bartender because I don't want to be like out there in the club. I want to be doing something, but then also in the fun, but not like in the fun.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I get to learn all this stuff. And that how, like, we had Brian Sykes, who was going through the Adobe I don't want to call it the wrong thing because I'm not the full design creative, but I really got a better understanding of like how you can create these visuals for different brands. And even though I'm not necessarily the one doing it in my business, I can pass that knowledge on to my assistant.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it was that you just made a great point of exactly what I wanted to do with CreativeVerse, of cross training, so that people understand. Like you said, you are in business, but um but the creative part helps you understand the why, the what, the when, the where, the tone. And it's a science to it. It isn't just people that don't think it's a science. They spend years and years and throwing stuff to the wall and hoping that it sticks. Um, and there's things that are strategic where you have to start looking at lead generation. You have to start looking at sales. You have to start looking at scaling. All of that stuff matters. And though those words may sound, crazy to some people, they are real words. And you may have and my thing is, somebody else may say, on the other end, they may say, okay, well, I want to, scale my business. Well, to somebody else, that may mean I want to make more money, right? And so those terms may not just, those terms may not go together, whatever culture you're from, but at the same time, all of us want to scale. All of us want to make more money. So we know that's where we agree at, right? That's what we agree at. And not
Yeah.
only that, if I can help you on this end, because it was like you said, there's a lot of people that was there that was for business development, and there was a lot of people there to, find out how do I make this look better, how do I, make myself look better on social media, all that stuff. But they learned so much from each other. It
Yeah.
was bananas.
Yeah, and I think just the interactions, and I think you said something there that made me think about this, is that it takes time. Like, this education was great exposure, great connections to be made, but sometimes scale it takes time. So really, I love this year afterwards, and hopefully it won't take a full year for me to like make progress, but you take the information, you come back to, your day-to-day normal life, and you find small ways to integrate it. And over time, scaling business is not like, going viral. That's not, it's not going to be an overnight success. And this is partly why I wanted, and I relate to the mental health and the addictions recovery background with this, is because if you do not take your time, you will get so far ahead of yourself without a solid foundation and a platform to scale that it's not sustainable. Not only just like mental health and health wise, but business systems and structure will not be able to be sound, because it's an ecosystem. Business is like, especially if you have multiple products or services that you're selling, those things take time to kind of refine. At least in my business, I found that like I could easily put a lot of pressure on myself from last year to take, Chris Doe's insight and be like, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire by this year, and I'm going to be this big way that Elton can't get, he can't book anymore. That's unrealistic.
Wow.
Which will never happen, Elton. CreativeVerse
Wow.
won't say. It was dramatic for a reason, okay? But it is ultimately, it just is my biggest advice for any kind of new entrepreneur. And even if you're working and you have a full-time gig elsewhere, is just take your time with development of your professional identity. It is going to evolve not only over time, but over experience of, you figuring out what you want to do and who you want to be in the world. And as an entrepreneur, it's just, that's the challenge in itself.
And I'd like to add to something you just said. You deal with, and your whole background, most of your background is dealing with addiction, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And one thing that I've learned from our work relationship is there's different kind of addictions. And there's addictions that people will say, okay, you have a substance addiction, you have this addiction, all these other kind of addictions, but the addiction that we have sometimes as creative people or we have as business owners is addiction to our ego.
Uh-oh. Look at you go.
Addiction.
Did you attend my workshop this year, Elton?
No, I
Is that?
didn't. I was running all around, but
Oh, okay.
I'm watching the I'm going to watch the replays. But yeah, to our addiction, addiction to vanity, addiction to not being our true selves, addiction to always, caving in and backing up in the shadows so nobody sees us. We can be addicted to that. And sometimes we can be afraid to win because we are addicted to not wanting to be out in the front or to look too much for our family, our friends, our peers. So that's one thing I learned to that we're dealing with that. We're dealing with addiction of so many things that are I deal with stuff that are visual all day. And sometimes I get to the point where I just don't want to see nothing, a screen, a TV, or anything like that, because I know the addiction. I know the addiction, but I just get tired of looking at them sometime also.
Yeah.
But there can be an addiction to that. My pastor sometimes says, you can be on Facebook, then go to Instagram, then go to TikTok, and before you know it, a two-piece campaign will take you all day to hit um, all those platforms to hit them the right way. Make sure you're using the right wording, and that can be, if you're trying to promote something, cool. But there is also a place where you can be, excuse me, a place where you can get addicted to those things, and it's not healthy. It's not in
Yeah.
promotion of anything.
And partly why I was like, oh, impressed by your reference there is to ego, because I talked about that a little bit more this year. Last year, I talked a little bit more about what do you have to be like prepared for as an entrepreneur, and we talked a lot about like being prepared for loss and how to, you're gonna have a lot of loss of time, money, friends sometimes. But then this year, I really wanted to kind of put forward is like realize the respect that your brain is going to get addicted to something that it just enjoys. It's a pleasure seeking concept. So you doing where I know I have to monitor how much work that I do, because for me, it's like I can be in front of a screen all day because there's always work to do. There's always something to do. And that perpetuation of just energy, and you can get stuck in a cycle, and your brain is just I reference the metaphor of a computer a lot, is that if you do not learn how to shut it down and have a respect for it, you don't control it, but you have a respect. So you have a little bit more ability to maneuver around its natural form. And all it's doing is just, it's making a livelihood for you, just following your instruction. Right. But if you are all in and don't understand that about natural human behavior, then you're going to burn out. You're going to have these cycles of like go, 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 and then being completely disinterested or incapable sometimes of doing anything or getting out of bed because you didn't understand your neurochemistry and the neuroscience behind being a human.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely what's
my cat is she loves to chime in. She just knows. She loves the topic. She hears me talking about it pretty much all day.
Maybe she's addicted to something too.
She loves to be on camera, or at least be heard anyway. So But I know. So, how about the what is next year starting to look like? I know the dates are not something that you can really think about, but is there something that you want? Is that an intention for the future? Because I know we're working together outside of CreativeVerse with you helping me
Mhm.
build, my brand a little bit more intentionally. But since we're talking about CreativeVerse, is there anything that you intentionally want to bring up for next year?
We've sat down and had a couple of meetings right after Creative Verse, and talked to Chris and we talked to Daniel, and we started talking to other people that can make this thing go bigger. Um, and we are coming up with some great things. When I tell you great, I mean big and awesome. It could possibly move from 2 to 3 days now. What we have in plan for next year. Um,
So
is
we're
I
gonna
can't.
need to like book rooms,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. And then we've tried to wait a couple of years before we got into start putting things out. But this year we're going to start a little bit more earlier because it's going to be jam packed for this coming year. We're going to have I want to tell you so bad, but I can't. But
It's okay. I won't ruin the surprise.
it's gonna be better again. We're still standing on our messaging. We're not going away from our narrative at all because we feel like we're the only gathering of people that are doing what we're doing. You usually only go to a business conference to learn about business and leadership. You only go to a creative conference somewhere to learn about the software and all that stuff. But when we come together, we're gonna capitalize on who's there. We don't want to move into a this celebrity is going to be here, this celebrity is going to be there. We want to keep the message of okay, what's happening in our community, what's happening around us that we can take and use these things. If we have a celebrity here, a celebrity there, somebody that's done it seasonally, then that's cool, right? But we won't always reach for that high end. We want to make sure that it's relatable to people on the ground and not something that they have to hope and wish and all those things, right? So that will for 2025 is going to be bigger. We're going to have more, not so much local, but more reachable people. And if we got celebrities, they're down to earth, just like Chris and Daniel was. They
Yeah,
have no, both of those guys worth millions of dollars, and they have no, not owe us nothing to be here, but they like what we're doing, and it's different. That's why Chris came back a second years because it's different. If it wasn't different, it was something he would be doing. He would be doing it on his own, right? But
right.
there's a bridge. There's a bridge that needs to be crossed, and that not even cross, but just meet in the middle of what we need to be able to teach each other because there's certain pockets that you're not going to get into. Grandfather patched in, connected. There's some you're not going to get into, but if something that we can create differently, ongoing with collaboration and diversity and inclusion, then I think we're going to make a big impact on next year.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I love is that this is becoming, if it wasn't already, a community.
Right.
For people who have that creative desire, even like high school students who are wanting to see themselves and in like this is what it looks like, this is you can do professional things with art and it doesn't just have to be a struggle bus and the
Right.
starving artist persona does not have to continue to maintain, but there's some fundamental foundational building blocks of how you get there. And I think for this next generation coming up, this community is very needed because trust me, I'm
Right.
not like scared, but I may be a little bit worried about some of
Oh,
these generations coming up when it comes to like, I'm just going to go work for myself and not be a part of a team. I'm like,
that's not
um,
true. And
no,
like you were saying, like, we want to teach them that they can have careers in art, they can have careers in creativity, but do know there's a thing called real life, and there's a thing called bills, and there's a thing called disconnections, and all of that stuff, right? So, um, my deal is to say, okay, if you want to do this creatively, let's make sure you want to do what you have to do first, right? I'll say do what you need to do first, and then you can do what you love to do, right? You can
Yep.
get people to pay for your passion, but make sure that you're getting paid not for your passion, but something else to support your passion,
Yeah.
right? So if that looks like, okay, I have a full-time job and I come home and I work from 7 to 11 on my passion and gets paid for that, that's what that looks like, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't look like you got a feeling and you jump up and quit your job one day because you feel so energetic and the sun is shining, because it'll give it about a couple of days.
Yeah.
All the wind will be going out your chest.
Yeah.
you you won't be smiling like that because
It's hard. It's an uphill
yeah, it's hard.
battle.
Right, my mom. It's hard if you don't have a plan. It's hard if you don't have a plan. It's hard if you don't believe in yourself, and it's hard if you live in a magical land. Um,
Yeah.
and you just got to do it. So that's one of the things we want to teach them, and that's another. Hey, you keep giving me good points. That's another reason why I wanted to do CreativeVerse, because I've lived through what I'm telling you. I don't have to make it up. I don't have to search it on Chat GPT. I don't have to ask anybody of how my experience that I went through. But I think I'm in an okay situation right now to be able to give people advice from people that's starting out. And I bring enough people. I built enough relationships to bring to the people to the table that don't understand, that I don't understand what it is that they went through, but they can help tell somebody else. So
Absolutely.
right, so
And that's
that,
where that
that
experience, there's no significant time that it takes, but it takes time to
right,
build experience. And a lot of people, I mean, I'm 7 years ish as an entrepreneur, but I've been in my career for 10 years, and I worked for other people for 4 or 5 years, because I started my own business while I was also working for other agencies. And so not only just for like me speaking to other excuse me, healthcare professionals and clinical social workers and who want to start their own agencies, but to creatives about how sometimes you have to take the time, and you definitely have to do it slow to build that foundation so you can be on your own, you can build, and you can scale. I think, yeah, CreativeVerse is where you really get that full, well-rounded perspective of what it takes to be a creative entrepreneur in
and
this
we're starting
generation.
them young. We had kids in there from probably 13, high school. We probably had probably about 15 high schoolers in there, right?
Yep.
And I just got the email from Adobe, rewarded two high schoolers won a free year subscription of Adobe Creative Cloud, right?
Wow.
Just now. And it behooves me not to highlight her. Sarah, she brought three high school students. She sponsored three high school students last year. She sponsored three high school students this year. And so those students, some of those students that came in, wanted that. A lot of older people wanted that, was wanting that subscription so bad. But that's with those kids, that's going to be a part of the story. Sarah's going to be a part of their story for the rest of their life. People that they talk to are going to be a part of the story for the rest of their life. I had a teacher from Richmond, Virginia, and she was about to get a certification in Unity. And I didn't know what Unity was. But you know what I said? I said, there's one person out here that will understand exactly what you're talking about, and they're 13 years old.
Hmm.
And the little guy got with her, and they had a field day for
Yeah.
just talking and talking and talking and talking, right? And so they
Yep.
understood each other. So now she becomes a part of his story forever, and vice versa. And in turn, CreativeVerse becomes a part of them. And in turn, Sarah Elton becomes a part of their life story. So I need to say this of all the people, most seasoned older people try to be the gatekeepers and keep all the information. You're not hurting anybody but yourselves, because you're not giving anybody any legacy to continue on with yourself, with your name or whatever you do. You're just gonna
Yeah.
stop at what you do, and you're gonna keep it all in. Nobody knows but you. So we
Right.
can't be gatekeepers. of this information. We're just overjoyed at the people that we're able to reach and going to continue to reach.
No, I'm looking forward to it, and thank you for that, and being allowing me to bring those high schoolers, because that I also too. So since the agencies or the people at the conference maybe didn't win the Adobe subscriptions, but those students need internships, and they can use the free
Right.
Adobe for you. So anyone who's been at CreativeVerse and you need an intern in the Wake County, Raleigh, North Carolina area, hit me up, because I got to connect with the school system, because they're planning. Those are just 3 students who were selected out of from one school, and most of the Wake County schools have creative design internship programs that I know I used some of the student skills when I first started, because I was funding my business myself and having to pay all my bills while, seeing my clients individually in therapy, but then also trying to market myself and build. High school interns can use the experience, and then, ideally we'd want to be able to financially support them too, but if not, you're giving them valuable knowledge and experience that they may not get because they don't have those
Right.
opportunities in bigger organizations. So yeah,
Right.
I'm so excited for you that you've been able to pull this off, and it's just the beginning, and it's already such a great, important event for people, and I'm just excited to be able to see what it turns into next year. The more that people learn about it in the county area, that it's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a
Right.
thing, Elton. I
Well,
hope you're
I
prepared and
surely
you're
appreciate you, and I thank you so much for jumping on a team. And I want to take this time to just thank everybody on the team: Omar McCaleb, um, Kim McGee,
Miss
Tammy Bates,
Tammy.
yeah, uh, Kimberly Winborn, just John Guest, him and his wife, and it's a lot of people in the community that helped us, and they helped us like. And there's people from we had people there from Georgia, Philadelphia, Washington State, um,
Cali, London.
yeah, and so we're growing. That's a place where I want people to grow, come from those places and learn and take it back to their communities, not just the community here, because and we're going to work harder the community here, but just for them to grab what they learn and take it back, because you were talking about money and business and marketing. Didn't Daniel Priestley lay stuff out for us, and it seems so simple of the plans and processes that he was giving us. It was amazing, and I think
Yeah,
if we can do some of those simple things, then we'll be good. But we're glad to have everybody. I thank you again. Thank you for your students, and thank you for so much that you bring to the table. I appreciate you.
absolutely. Thanks for giving me a platform to do it. So, well, look, I appreciate you coming on and talking about it, but I think we've covered pretty much the significance of why y'all need to pretty much mark your calendars for May, probably May of next year. I
They'll
think May is
probably be
a really,
made probably a week after Mother's Day, a week or 2 weeks after
yeah,
Mother's
so, something around there. Is so go ahead
Right,
and
yeah.
mark your calendars already, because it's going to happen, and this is literally the year that it's year 3. Great things happen in threes. I would say
There
that
you
it's going to
go.
happen past 3, but I'm like, that's why I'm so excited for the 3rd year. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, but
Right.
some things going to
It's
happen.
gonna be big.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Elton. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday, and yeah, stay tuned
All
for
right.
more, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, guys.